Good evening. Greetings from the Institute of Global Professionals. Greetings from the Institute of Global Professionals. Thank you all for joining us and staying with us till the end. Honorable knowledge seekers, today I am your host for the evening. My name is Ananna and I'm from Bangladesh. Dear knowledge seekers, I am proud to be associated with IGP. IGP is a social and ISO certified international educational and training institute. In the last 3 years, we have already served 35 million plus knowledge seekers from 100 plus countries. IGP is internationally recognized and globally accredited. We are connected to more than 450 plus professions and 4,500 plus organizations. Institute of Global Professionals (IGP) is the training facility for skill development, which was founded in 2020 and is generating competent candidates to meet demand in the global labor market by providing professional qualifications. The Institute of Global Professionals is an education institute that provides social work globally recognized and reputable. We serve students and community resources providing holistic social work and education. We believe that it's not effective to increase one's skill just by equating formal education. So, we provide effective training and consultation to generate proficient generations all over the world. We distribute our services locally, nationally, and internationally to students, job seekers, job holders, and also for learners through respective campus locations and distance learning platform. We are an occupational and dependent institution. IGP is one of the famous online institutes from all over the world. Our vision is education isn't a business product. It's a part of our human race. Based on our vision, we are trying to reach all corners of the world for free webinars, seminars, courses, award quiz competitions, mentoring and counseling, etc. On the other side, we are also trying to offer more than 100 premium services for free, like creating our portfolio website, resume builder, cover letter, motivational letter, and wall knowledge platform for gathering general knowledge which can update all day. Kids learning games website, free courses, converter sites, and many more. We help to empower you to learn to meet their expectations and dreams and become highly skilled people. We implement several training program, webinar, and offline online courses for youth and learners by professional trainers, speakers, and coaches. Our sessions are conducted by globally renowned professionals to develop all kind of youth and to promote the education of their abilities and personalities. Spreading knowledge is crucial for the Institute of Global Professionals. We believe that knowledge is love and light and vision. So, we try to understand the needs of today's generation and will serve them with good research and practice methods. We must have a genuine concern for the learner. We represent more diversity, growth, and innovation are required. To lead a session with professionalism, passion, and integrity, IGP members are committed to offering effective, best quality services and continual improvement so that who individuals seek information can improve their skill levels and value. Before we move to the next, let me remind don't forget to share, take, and mention your friend in the comment box. Your support is very valuable to us. Thank you. Before we move to the next, let me remind don't forget to share, take, and mention your friend in the comment box. Your support is very valuable to us. Thank you. Moving to the next, with your continuous support, we have already completed 2,331 webinars successfully. Moving to the next, with your continuous support, we have already completed 2,331 webinars successfully. Dear IGP speakers, participants, and well wishers, at this moment, this is a very important message for you all. We changed and designed our website www.eduigp.com. On this website, we have surprises for everyone. Hope you will be benefited. We already launched our new website where you can find all of our previous activities together with lots of new features. But one strong point is that without an account or logged in, you cannot enjoy our services. So create your account for your once with your proper information. Note that with your proper information, you will enjoy all features. With mismatches data, you can do anything here. From now on, you have to participate in live quiz competitions on our website. We replace Slido. You have to join directly on our website. Now you can check all of our previous webinars and verified e-certificates. Now it's easier and time oriented. Because after this session, we will not provide you with any code for certification. You have to take part in one exam. After that, if you passed, you will receive your certificate, otherwise not. But you can take part in an exam unlimited till you pass. If you are an IGP speaker, you can download all your previous certificates, speakership certificate. If you are a host of IGP, you can download your certificate of gratitude. If you are an online quiz competition winner, you can download your certificate of participation. If you are selected for a lifetime membership, then you can download a certificate of lifetime membership easily. Besides this, if you participated in any award function which organized combined support with IGP, you can download that also. You can instantly prepare and download 18 type of instant certificate from our website within a minute. Certificate of Global Professional Membership, Certificate of Global Influencer during the pandemic, Certificate of Active Knowledge Seeker, Certificate of Social Activists during the pandemic, Certificate of Achievement IGP Knowledge Seeking Campaign 2020, Certificate of Achievement IGP Knowledge Seeking Campaign 2021, Certificate of Achievement IGP Knowledge Seeking Campaign 2022, Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 1 Authentic Assessment in Teaching Learning, Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 2 Teaching English as a Foreign Language and Assessment, Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 3 Digital Classroom Engagement Tools, Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 4 The New Trends in Education, Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 5 Upskilling Organizational Leadership and Managerial Skills, Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 6 Trends in Innovation in Management and Education, Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 7 Advanced mathematics education. Certificate of participation webinar series 7, research a comprehensive participation webinar series 8, art in teaching a special program in the arts. Certificate of participation webinar series 9, 21st century tools in teaching mathematics. Certificate of IGP corporate ambassador, certificate of IGP campus ambassador, which you can prepare and download within a minute. From now on, you can participate in 1000 plus international level quizzes with verified e-certificates, teaching tips for teachers, health tips for parents, health tips for teens, gamification tools for teachers. You can join IGP Alumni, you can check out our 50 plus PM services websites for free, and many more. Dear IGP, well, we shared the promise previously, but lack of our technical issues, we are late sending you on time. This is a great opportunity to collect your previous credential. We solve all issues from our website. Now you can enroll, reset password, everything. You can check your dashboard for all webinar details. It's a cordial request to you. Check all buttons and pages on our website. Surely I can see you will be benefited. Thank you, but note that without any account or logged in, you cannot enjoy our services. At present, we are going to start our program 2330 program, and program name is Literary Stylistics, and honorable speaker is Dr. Amitabh Vikram Dwivedi. And now is a very important moment for me to invite our speaker to IGP with his presentation. Hello, sir.
Uh, I welcome all the participants who have joined me here, and let me share the screen for all of you.
Yes, sir. Hope you are doing great, sir. On behalf of IGP Knowledge Seekers, wants to hear from you about you, sir. Now the stage is yours, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, thank you. Now, my my slides are visible, and as you can see, the title of the presentation is Literary Stylistics, and the subtitle is A Linguistic Window to Look at Literary Text. So when we talk about literary stylistics, or here as you can see, the pragmatic literary stylistics. So here we are trying to find out the pragmatic value of stylistic. Pragmatics is a field of linguistics where we study language use. So when we talk about the uses of language, then literature is also one such use of literature. So there are various definition of literature, like what is literature. Some people say literature is the mirror of society. Some people say like literature is study of arts for art's sake, and so on and so forth. And sometimes people just question that why do we read literature? Why do we study literature? So we are not going to deal with the existential questions like this, that why do we study literature or what is the benefit of literature. But here we are going to deal with that how we can apply stylistics, which is an, a combination of literature and linguistics. So stylistics works as a bridge between literature and linguistics. So what is the pragmatic value of that literary stylistics we are going to see? So in this presentation, you can see a blend of pragmatics and literary stylistics. First of all, what is pragmatics? Then pragmatic is the study of language in use. So wherever you use language, that means it is pragmatics. But here, pragmatics is modifying literary and also modifying stylistics. So that means we are going to deal with what is the use of literature and how that use of literature can be studied through stylistic lenses. And when we talk about literary stylistics, then basically we we pay close attention to language use through which we can understand literature better, through which we can evaluate text better, through which we can judge whether a literary text has a value or it is simply a bland. So that type of thing generally we study, and basically the focus of this presentation. Now, when we talk about literature, then we know that literature is not one sentence. Literature is more than one sentence. It can be 100,000 or 50,000. It depends upon the length of that piece of work. So let's say when you talk about a sonnet and a sonnet has 14 lines, then there is a possibility that in a sonnet you can find few sentences, or there is also a possibility that the entire sonnet has only one sentence. So one long sentence can constitute a sonnet. And when we talk about sentence, then basically we are into the field of syntax, because in formal syntax the highest unit of investigation is the sentence. But generally our understanding of literature is that it is not one sentence but many sentences. So when we have a sentence, we are going to deal with the meaning of that sentence. And when we say a sentence, or when we study syntax, then generally we take into consideration meaningful sentences. So literature has those meaningful sentences at one place. So when you read, let's say, one story, short story, then you can find 100, 200, 300, 500 sentences. In a novel, you will find thousands of sentences. And those sentences, they are interrelated to each other, interlinked to each other, as well as they constitute some meaning. But at the same time, what is the pragmatic value of that? For example, if you claim that you will know 10 Shakespearean sonnets by heart, or even you claim that you know many soliloquies of King Lear or Hamlet, then what is the benefit of that? So you cannot go to a vegetable market and just sing a sonnet to the vendor, and the vendor is so pleased that the vendor or the fruit seller will give you some fruits without taking any money. So that is not actually the purpose. So that pragmatic purpose is of not literature, but the aesthetic purpose. Literature has aesthetic purpose. So when you read literature, then you know that it is not going to solve your day-to-day problem. So for example, it is not possible that you go to a bank and you just sing one sonnet, you sing one lyric, and then the bank person is very pleased, and then the bank person will give you the money. So that is not the case. It has some aesthetic value. Aesthetic value, that means like once you read literature, you enjoy it and it touches your heart, it pleases you, it motivates you, and it not only motivates you but it motivates the generation, and it is timeless. So the lesson you get after reading a literature, the feeling that you get after reading a literature, the that you get after reading a lyric or an ode or a sonnet, that is timeless. So that feeling is more important. So that way, we need to take into consideration the pragmatic value of literature, not in the day-to-day sense. But if we take into consideration that whether literature communicates something to you, in that sense, if we are taking into pragmatics, then pragmatics is a field where you convey one information to other person and you try to find out what does it mean. So even when we take general sentences or very common phrases that we use in day-to-day conversation, then we find that even the language of day-to-day use is also metaphorical. So when you say that I can hear you, it doesn't mean that you are talking about the ability of your hearing. You simply mean that okay, whatever you have said, I can hear you. When there is a sentence like John hit Mary, then you know that there is a person John that hit the another person Mary. So that thing, or when it is more metaphorical, like she is a pillar of our community, then pillar is a metaphor, and you are comparing a person for her strength, for her bravery, for her courage. So that way, the metaphor you also use in day-to-day conversation. Or when you say speech is silver but silence is golden, then again there is a metaphor that you use. So, what is the difference between day to day conversation and the use of metaphor and the literature and the use of metaphor? Because language itself is metaphorical, that we already know. So, most of the time, when we say something, we do not mean it literally, we mean it metaphorically. So, the difference is of the meaningfulness. That means, like, once you read metaphors in literature, and each time you read, you will get some more meaning. But it is not the case with the day to day conversation. So, I can hear you will not generate any other meaning. She is the pillar of the community will not generate some extra meaning. So, the thing is that the metaphor or the metaphorical meaning in literature is never exhausted. Each time you read Pride and Prejudice written by Jane Austen, you will get some more meaningfulness. So that is the difference between the metaphors that are used in day-to-day conversation and the metaphors that are used in literature. So there is a term in pragmatics that is known as conversational implicature, and that means like what is meant but not actually said. So when you use these phrases like John hit Mary, so it is like not the whole of John hit the whole of Mary, but at least like some part of John, maybe a hand or a leg, hit Mary, let's say any part of Mary. So it is not like the entire personality as John and the entire personality of marrying and they are hitting each other. So again, like very simple sentences, and they are so metaphorically rich in their meaning, but when we use them, we understand them perfectly. So it is not the case like we try to go for the literal meaning. Our mind is tuned in such a way that the way we say things, we do not mean it. We mean it differently. So here comes the role of cooperative principle that is also the part of pragmatics. That when we talk to each other, then we try to say minimum and mean maximum. So we follow the principle of minimax. So we do not want to waste our energy. We want to just say things what are required, and we make our contribution appropriate to the conversation. That means like we want to say things what is to be meant, and we do not want to say much. And that is the golden rule of communication as well. But in literature, you will find that this rule of cooperative principle is actually violated. For example, when Robert Burns says, "My love is like a red, red rose." Now, many of you may question that why red, red is used two times, because when you say my love is a red rose, that is also the same meaning. But instead of saying my love is a red rose, what Robert Burns said? Robert Burns said, "My love is like a red, red rose." So that means like here the cooperative principle is violated. Here Robert Burns is not making his contribution appropriate to the conversation. And that is basically the difference between the ordinary conversation and literature. So, why is it so? Because in literature, the meaning is never exhausted. And we also have certain things like we have affective fallacy, intentional fallacy, and the death of the author. Because once we read literature, we are not going to believe only what the writer wants to say, but we try to use our own mind, we try to interpret it in a way that is suited to our own belief, that is suited to our personal experience, that is suited to our feelings and emotions. That means whatever the writer has written plus the feeling, emotion, personality, experience of the writer, they also comes into play. So that's why Roland Barthes once said the death of the author. So here Roland Barthes is not actually saying that the author is dead. In many cases, author is actually dead. Like once you read Shakespeare, once you read Milton, once you read Robert Burns, once you read many writers, the author is actually dead. But here the death of the author means that means like author is not simply conversing with you. Author is not communicating with you. But the point is that you are adding your personality, you are adding your experiences, you are adding your emotions and feelings while interpreting the the literary text. So for that purpose, D.H. Lawrence also once said that never trust the artist, trust the tale. That means you not only need to focus on what the writer has said, but also you need to focus on that how this text is infused with extra meaning and whether you are able to find out more interpretive meaning of that particular text. But that type of thing is not possible in day-to-day conversation. For example, I can hear you, John hit Mary, she is a pillar of the community. You cannot infuse extra meaning in that. So that is a thing that you need to keep into consideration. That what does it mean actually? So as I said, like where syntax ends, the literature starts. That means like where you have more than one sentence, then that is the starting point of literature. And you know that in syntax the sentence is the largest meaning, largest unit of investigation. So beyond sentence is the starting point of literature. Now here I am taking consideration of two sentences, and these sentences are used by Halliday and Hassan in their book Cohesion in English, published in 1975. And here you can see that how in literature there is an interdependency of one sentence over the other. So this is a fine example that what is that interdependency mean. So the first sentence is wash and core 6 apples and put them in a bowl. This sentence is actually used by Halliday and Hassan in the book. Now, as you can see, the surface level, you can see that these two sentences are examples of a cookery book where instructions are written how to make different dishes. So here, like there is a dish that is uh, made by using apples. So wash and core 6 apples, the first instruction is given, and the second instruction is put them in a bowl. Our knowledge of syntax tells us that this is an imperative sentence because there is no subject. And the other thing that our grammatical knowledge tells us is that them, what is the meaning of them. So the grammatical knowledge tells us that there is no meaning of them in the sentence number 2. So there is a need to cross the sentence boundary, and them crosses the sentence boundary and finds its meaning in sentence 1. So here we find there is a relationship, that is the anaphora antecedent relationship that we call in syntax, that we can trace here. So if I raise a question, what is the meaning of them? Then very easily you can say them is equal to 6 apples. So there is a cohesive relation across sentence boundaries here. And this type of thing you will find very often in literature. So sometimes there is a possibility that the sentence 10, the anaphor used in sentence tense finds its antecedent in sentence 1. So that type of gap, even if you find grammatically that is not allowed, but in literature you might have heard the term poetic license. So that type of license writers have, and they violate it so often. So there is a possibility that there is some anaphor. Anaphor is, by the way, a pronoun, and pronoun is always in the search of the noun, whether it is a proper noun or common noun or any other type of noun. So there is very much a possibility that you find on a piece of paper on a page that there is sentence number 20 and there is one anaphor used, and that anaphor gets its meaning in sentence number 3 or 4. So that type of thing makes literature literature, because you need to search for meaningfulness, and the possibility to find it is a difficult reading task, and you always need a critical reading activity if you want to find more meaningfulness. Here I have taken an excerpt from Virginia Woolf, and the title of the novel is Mrs. Dalloway. Now this is the starting few lines, and here you can see like how beautifully the writer has fused meaning, more meaningfulness in with the use of this anaphor antecedent relationship. So I have highlighted certain text, and this highlighting is done so that you will be more focused. So as you can see, uh, there are few sentences, and I am reading it for you. Mrs. Dalloway said she would buy the flowers herself, for Lucy had her work cut out for her. The doors would be taken off their hinges. Rumpelmayer's men were coming, and then thought Clarissa Dalloway, what a morning, fresh as if issued to children on a bench. Now, as you can see that Mrs. Dalloway, so there is the proper title, Mrs. Dalloway. That means like you understand that she is a lady that has some sort of prestige than the Lucy, because Lucy is used without any salutation. So Mrs. Dalloway, that means like she is married, and she belongs to some prestigious family. That's why Mrs. Dalloway said she would buy the flowers herself. So buying a flower is not a task that you can assign to someone who is not an expert in it. So here for Lucy had her work cut out for her. That means like Lucy, and you can see here the Lucy, the first name is written without any salutation. So you can sense very easily that Lucy is some sort of helper, some sort of maid, and you cannot assign an important role to a maid. So Mrs. Dalloway decided that she would buy the flowers herself. Then the doors would be taken off their hinges, and Rumpelmayer's men were coming. So here it is nowhere mentioned that who are Rumpelmayer's men, but because door and hinges that are used, then you can guess that we are talking about actually the carpenters, or like the people who are engaged in fixing the doors. And then thought Clarissa Dalloway. Now you can see that first time Mrs. Dalloway used, and second time Clarissa Dalloway. So I have said like Mrs. Dalloway, that means like some prestige writer wants to give to Dalloway, but here why there is no prestige? Because then thought Clarissa Dalloway, that means a person who is thinking, that means the person is thinking herself. So once you think yourself, that means you will not use any salutation. For example, if you ask what is your name, then simply I will say my name is Amitabh, or Amitabh is thinking, so I am thinking. So I will not say Dr. Amitabh is thinking something for myself. I will simply say I am thinking, and I is Amitabh. So you can sense like how there is a fine play of salutation, then salutation with the family name, then Clarissa Dalloway, the first name is also used. And in the second sentence, for Lucy had her work cut out for her, that is like her here refers to the Lucy, and both the her they refer to the Lucy. And one is in the possessive case and another one is in the objective case. So that is the difference, because in English language, the objective case and the possessive case we have both her, but in English we have his and him. So that is the difference. So here you can see that in literature we have sentences, but those sentences are crafted so well that you can find multiple layers of meaningfulness. And similarly, you can just think of other signs that are used. For example, what is the function of semicolon that is used after hinges, or what is the function of hyphen that is used between morning hyphen fresh, as if issued to children on bench. So as if issued, here it is a hypothetical situation, that's why the past tense is used, as if issued to children on a bench. So again, that type of comparison, what a fresh, so that freshness is compared to the children. So lot of things are there even in the few lines. So here I have discussed the same thing. So that is one thing. Now another thing is like once you study literary text, then you also need to take into consideration where the writer states new information, because in a discourse we have old information as well as new information. So again here you can see that how the old information is represented and how the new information is represented. So a little girl went for a walk in the park. While there she saw a rabbit. Since it was injured, she took it home. So you can see like the old information is replaced by the pronouns, or we can say by the anaphors. And whenever there is a new information, then a proper noun is used. For example, a little girl is replaced by she, then in the park is replaced by it, or like saw a rabbit, or rabbit is replaced by it. So That way you also, or there, like in the park is replaced by there. So again, there is an important role of pronouns and anaphor when you take into consideration how the author uh, has presented the information, particularly the old one. So similar is the case with Mrs. Dalloway. You can see that the new information is presented while using the proper noun, while the old information is used by either using pronouns or the reflexive pronouns. Now, another thing that you need to focus while you read literature, that how the topic corresponds to what a sentence or a portion of the discourse is about. So, topic is like which thing is the most important in that particular sentence you need to focus on. So, as you can see here, there are few sentences like once upon a time there was a merchant with two sons. The older son wanted to be a scholar. He spent his time reading and studying. As for the younger son, he preferred to travel and see the world. So you can see in the first sentence, like the most important word, like a merchant and two sons. Then the focus is on the older son. Fine. And then in the last sentence, you will find there is again the information shift and the focus is on the younger son. And whereas like after the older son, you can find that older son is the new information, but he spent his time is he becomes the old information, so replaced by the pronoun that we have. So this is how literary text works. That a literary text generally works in a context. So literature is also a communication, a type of communication, but it is not like a day-to-day conversation that we have, but it has a different communicative purpose that you have. As I said, like it has an aesthetic function, it has some different role to play, but that is also a part of communication, and as a rule for communication, that any communication must fall under some appropriate context. So if literature is not falling under any context, then literature will again lost its significance. So that is again important, that the writer needs to create some context, and there some things happen. So the fictional word, writer creates a fictional word, and that fictional word becomes the context where everything happens. So that communication basically realizes into context, and that context further becomes the discourse. And when we read that discourse, when we read that communication, we try to understand it by using our concrete living totality, a phrase used by Bhaktin. We try to use all our permutation and combination to try to find out, like who is Dalloway or who is Lucy, or what could be the relationship between Dalloway and Lucy. So for that we use, or who is Rumpelmayer's man. So we use all the concrete living totality, and then we come into finding out the meaning. So literary text is understood, but as I said, like once there is a writer Ernest Hemingway, and Ernest Hemingway was once challenged to write a story in a single sentence. And for that purpose, like Ernest Hemingway wrote these 6 words and said, like this is a 6 word story. And what is the story? For sale, baby shoes never worn. So as you can see, like how these 6 words can become a short story, but if you read it deeply, if you apply your critical skills, then you can see that this is a short story, because for sale, baby shoes never worn. So how is it possible that baby shoes, they are never worn? That means like after the birth of the baby, either the baby immediately died, and then the shoes were purchased previously, and that's why they were not worn by the baby. So again, like this is a sad story, like for sale, baby shoes never worn. So this is a challenge given to Ernest Hemingway once, and there was a bet between two friends, and Ernest Hemingway won that. But here, one more important thing is there, that there is an economic principle that is followed here, and there is again an iceberg theory. So in the iceberg theory, what happens generally? You see the tip of the iceberg, but lot of things are hidden beneath the water. So similarly, once you read literature, you need to understand that there are so many things that are hidden between the lines. So you need to reread it many times in order to find out better interpretation or many meaningfulness. And so far the economy principle is concerned, all writers generally they do not follow economy principle. But when we talk about Ernest Hemingway, he used to follow economy principle to use less word and to say more things. There are other writers as well, like Hemingway. One such writer is William Carlos Williams, and there is one poem, The Red Wheelbarrow, that is very famous. So, what do we find in Red Wheelbarrow? You can see that this is the poem, and this poem has very few words. And as you can see, like in line 2, 4, and 6 and 8, there is only one word. And even like when you compare 2, 4, 6, and 8, then you find like in line 2 there is a preposition, 4 there is a noun, 6 again noun, and then 8 again noun. And then you will find like very few words, like three words are there. So this is again a type of literature which follows like both economy principle and the theory of iceberg. So I am reading it for you. So much depends upon a red wheel barrow glazed with rainwater beside the white chickens. So if someone asks like what is the meaning of this, then there is very much a possibility that the person will say like it is one sentence, or it is like haphazard certain words or phrases that you are using or you are throwing at me. But this is a well anthologized poem, and um, it has been cited many times, and it is a very fine example like how the iceberg theory and the economic principle has been used. So we just try to look at it, that first of all whether we understand anything. So we can say like we have understood something, like there is a picture of a red wheelbarrow, as you can see, and that particular red wheelbarrow is glazed with rainwater, and it is beside the white chickens. But why so much things depends upon a red wheelbarrow? Why all of a sudden a red wheelbarrow becomes so important? So instead of writing like this, I can say so much depends upon a mobile phone, uh, placed in my cupboard besides my books. So I can also make like this. But the thing is like why? Why is it so? So that means like uh, there is the principle of compositionality, that something is written to us and that is written in intelligible English. Then we how we understand it. So thing is like we understand the meaning of individual words, we understand the meaning of the phrases, and then we try to combine them, and we try to find out what is the meaning. We use our totality, as Bhakti said, like concrete living totality, try to find out the meaning of that particular thing. So that is again the principle of compositionality, that the meaning of a sentence clearly depends upon at least two other things: the meaning of the words in the sentence. The first requirement is you know the meaning of the words, and then the grammatical structure of those words in a sentence. So that type of thing that generally we know. So the thing is like it is uh, there is also an example of enjambment that we have, because the one line so much depends, it depends upon the second word. So if we simply read line 1 so much depends, we do not get any meaning. If we simply read upon, we do not get any meaning. A red wheel, we do not get any meaning. So that means like line 1 depends upon line 2, line 2 depends upon line 3, line 3 depends upon line 4, so on and so forth. So that enjambment, that is like a literary device, is also used on this. So the thing is like the conversation maxims that we use in day-to-day conversation generally violated in literature, because in literature generally there are many things, sometimes they are not relevant. If you read let's say Waiting for the Godot, then you find like the conversation between the two character is not that relevant. So these maxims are often violated. They are often violated in literature, because literature is literature because it is not day-to-day conversation. Literature is literature because it is not ordinary conversation. That we always need to keep in mind. So these are conversation maxims that I have used, and I have just tried to show that like how the day-to-day conversation that we use is different from literature. So, like, have you finished the term paper yet? It is like a very ordinary sense, a sentence, and it cannot become literature all of a sudden. It can be a part of a big play or a novel where one character is asking, "Have you finished that term paper yet?" But even like the single thing cannot become a literature. Likewise, the magazines, other magazines that we have. So that is the thing that we have. And when we talk about ambiguity or how to deal with it, then we as we have previously discussed, that context plays an important role both in day-to-day conversation as well as in literature. Because without context, we cannot get the meaning. Because most of the words in English language, they are metaphorical, and sometimes they are also homonyms. That means they sound same, but the meaning is different. And we will find many, many, many words in English language. So that we also need to keep in mind. And again, how to solve an ambiguity? Again, it is like depends upon the context that we have. And once we know the context, then we can have the meaning that is there. So this is all from my side. And now uh, I would like uh, to move to the host, and I would request any audience, if they have any questions, then they can raise that question and ask me. I would I would love to answer their queries if they have any.
Thank you so much, sir, for your rich content presentation, which can impact our knowledge seekers surely. After your presentation, I hope our knowledge seekers can learn something new, which was our only intention. Learn and grow together, IGP knowledge seekers. Once again, thank you so much, dear sir, for your presentation. Now, sir, it's time for our question session, which is the one more valuable part of our regular webinar. Honorable sir, please stay with us. After a short video, we will be back in our session part 2, which is the questionnaire part. Dear IGP knowledge seekers, please ask your question in the comment box as much as you want to know from our speaker. Thank you. After questionnaire, we have webinar certification and online quiz competition. Dear IGP knowledge seekers, please ask your question in the comment box as much as you want to know from our speaker. Thank you. After questionnaire, we have webinar certification and online quiz competition. Dear IGP knowledge seekers, please ask your question in the comment box as much as you want to know from our speaker. Thank you. After questionnaire, we have webinar certification and online quiz competition. Dear IGP knowledge seekers, please ask your question in the comment box as much as you want to know from our speaker. Thank you. After questionnaire, we have webinar certification and online quiz competition. Once again, thank you so much, Honorable Sir, for your time in IGP. We have learned a lot from you with new topics. It will add some value to our day to day activity along with our academic and professional growth. Honorable Sir, hope to see you again with a new topic and a new date. Thank you, sir. Take care.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
IGP knowledge seekers, it's time for the webinar certification process, the most attractive and powerful part of our regular webinar. After a short video, we will start our webinar certification. After webinar certification, we have an online quiz competition and quiz certification. IGP knowledge seekers, it's time for the webinar certification process, the most attractive and powerful part of our regular webinar. After a short video, we will start our webinar certification. After webinar certification, we have an online quiz competition and quiz certification. Visit www.eduigp.com. Please make sure your presence on our website. Find a running session and get enrolled. After watching or completing part 1 video session, click mark as complete. Move to the next, which is the learning test quiz. Passing mark is 80%. If passed, back to the course again to download your certificate. If failed, retake the quiz. Download your certificate in PDF or JPG. For your attention, I'm going to share the procedure again. Visit www.eduigp.com. Please make sure your presence on our website. Sign up or sign in. Find a running session and get enrolled. After watching or completing part 1 video session, click mark as complete. Move to the next, which is learning test quiz. Passing mark is 80%. If passed, back to the course again to download your certificate. If failed, retake the quiz. Download your certificate in PDF or JPG. Dear IGP knowledge seekers, it's time for the most engaging part of this webinar, which is an online quiz competition, which is our regular webinar activity. We changed a few process for online live quiz competition. Note that after live, no one can participate. Now, time for the online quiz competition. To join the online quiz competition properly, please follow instruction carefully. Now, time for the online quiz competition. To join the online quiz competition properly, please follow instruction carefully. Visit www.eduigp.com. Sign up or sign in. Without this, you cannot join live quiz competitions anymore. Browse the live quizzes button or given link. Find the session name and join with your locked website or user account. Click join and wait for a few minutes for others to join. Enjoy an online live quiz competition. After a short video, we will start our quiz session. Our first question is, which literary text structure in this? Poetry or drama? Option A or option B? Correct answer is option B, and 10% people are correct. And our next question is, what literary text structure is this? Drama or prose? Option A or option B? Correct answer is option B, and 67% people are correct. And our next question is, what literary text structure is this? Prose or poetry? Option A or option B? Correct answer is option B, and 90% people are correct. And our next question is, literary genre refers to dance or reading books. Option A or option B? Correct answer is option B, and 100% people are correct. And our next question is, which boy could be seen as a literally Christ figure, Piggy or Simon? Option A or option B? Correct answer is option B, and 90% people are correct. And our next question is, what was Fitzgerald's literary movement named? Transgeneration and the Lost Generation. Option A or option B? Correct answer is option B, and 90% people are correct. And our next question is, the central idea of a literary work, allusion or theme. Option A or option B? Option B is correct, and 100% people are correct. And our next question is, literary device the palm from wood whisper, metaphor or personification. Option A or option B? Correct answer is option B, and 90% people are correct. And our next question is, the sad maple fought the harsh autumn breeze. The literary device is imagery or personification. Option A or option B? Correct answer is option B, and 30% people are correct. And our last and final question is, all of these actions show Simon as a literary Chris figure except he gives some of his meat to Piggy when Jack denies Piggy, or he has a history of scissors. Option A or option B? Correct answer is option B, and 29% people are correct. Congratulations to our webinar online quiz competition on our top 10. Congratulations again. We will take a few minutes to finalize the result, and after that, we will issue our online quiz competition certificates on our website and official Facebook page, Institute of Global Professionals. Congratulations to our webinar online quiz competition on our top 10. Congratulations again. We will take a few minutes to finalize the result, and after that, we will issue our online quiz competition certificates on our website and official Facebook page, Institute of Global Professionals. At the end of our session, we can say properly feed your skills, never stop learning, because life never stops teaching us. Be happy and stay safe. See you again and again. We want your participation in every program if you want to live a happy life tied to a goal, not to people or things. Albert Einstein. Before I say or hit the end life button, I again wants to thank all IGP knowledge seekers for your active participation as always. See you in the next session. Thank you.